Welcome back. Today, 1974 quarter dollar. If the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight. That's the question that has stunned collectors for years, because today's story begins with a coin so common, so ordinary, so deceptively simple that millions of people handled it without ever realizing it could transform their entire future. The 1974 Washington quarter. Welcome to my YouTube channel, where we uncover the hidden giants of the numismatic world, the coins that slip through everyday life while quietly holding the kind of value that could rewrite your destiny. And the 1974 quarter is one of those legendary pieces. Before we even begin digging into its secrets, you should know this. The rarest versions of this coin have reached an eye-watering estimated worth of up to $74 million. A number so large it sounds impossible until you understand the mysteries behind this year, this mint, and the astonishing set of errors that turned ordinary pocket change into numismatic gold. So stay with me all the way to the end, because not only are we about to break down every twist and turn of this historic coin, but I've also got something even more thrilling, a mention of the upcoming next coin in this sequence that has collectors whispering in excitement. And trust me, you will not want to miss what comes after this one. Even though I won't reveal its value just yet, I'll just say, the clues alone will keep you hooked. Now let's dive deep into the world of 1974, a time when the U.S. Mint was racing to meet enormous production demands. The country was shifting through economic uncertainty, inflation was creeping higher, and millions of Americans were paying closer attention to every coin that passed through their hands. Little did they know that in the Philadelphia Mint, a mint known for its precision, speed, and massive output, a series of subtle but monumental mistakes occurred. These errors weren't the obvious kind you'd spot across the room. No, they were the kind that disguised themselves inside the metal, hidden under shadows, faint doubling, slightly malformed edges, misaligned strikes that at first glance appear perfectly normal, and planchet anomalies that were never meant to escape the mint. And it's those tiny anomalies that transformed a simple 25-cent piece into a once-in-a-lifetime, multi-million-dollar treasure. Before we break into the error list, which includes everything from rare double-die obverse to missing clad layer strikes to off-metal planchets that were never supposed to exist, let's picture the scene at the Mint in 1974. Imagine giant presses pounding with thunderous rhythm, metal blanks pouring in by the ton, die changes happening mid-shift, workers moving quickly under time pressure, and quality control teams rushing to keep up with staggering production numbers. With millions of coins being produced daily, all it took was one slight oversight, one small misalignment, one unexpected metal mixture slipping through undetected for history to be made. And that is exactly what happened. One of the most astonishing varieties of the 1974 quarter is the legendary double-die obverse, where Washington's profile reveals a ghost-like second outline, faint, mysterious, a shadow of itself. The letters, "In God We Trust," display a stretching effect, and the date, 1974, almost appears doubled if you angle the coin against the light. Collectors who know the signs treat this error like a sacred relic because it's one of the few errors that can instantly catapult a circulated quarter into life-changing value territory. And we're not done. Some 1974 quarters were struck on experimental planchets, leftover metal stock from earlier minting tests, meaning these coins have a slightly different weight, a softer luster, and a unique ring when tapped gently. These experimental planchet errors don't just look different, they sound different. And those anomalies can push the coin's value into astronomical numbers. Another fascinating error, the missing clad layer 1974 quarter. Imagine a quarter that looks half silver, half copper, like it has been peeled open. These missing layer errors often catch the eye of new collectors because of their dramatic appearance, but the rarer ones show perfectly clean separation lines, meaning the error happened during production, not afterward in circulation. And then there's my personal favorite, the off-center strikes. Most off-center errors are noticeable, but the rarest and most valuable ones are the perfectly balanced 5 to 10% off-center pieces where Washington's face is fully visible. The date remains intact, yet the misalignment is undeniable. These are the sweet spot of off-center errors, dramatic enough to prove rarity, but complete enough to be visually satisfying. But what truly makes the 1974 P quarters so desirable isn't just the errors, it's the mystery that still surrounds them. Stories circulate in collector forums about people finding these coins in pocket change, in old coffee cans inside garages, in inherited coin jars forgotten at the tops of closets. One man from the Midwest claims he found a valuable 1974 P-era quarter inside a dusty tackle box his grandfather left behind. Another collector swears he discovered one while sorting coins at a flea market stand. And then there was an anonymous online user who posted that his grandmother had rolled up quarters from the 1970s to pay for small groceries, and one roll contained a jaw-dropping error piece. These stories feed the legend. They remind us that treasures aren't always locked away in museums. Sometimes they're sitting quietly in the most ordinary places. But here's something most people don't realize. The 1974 P quarter has a complicated history because it was minted only a year after one of the most controversial coin-related events in U.S. mint history, the 1973 Eisenhower dollar proof issue fiasco. Mistakes were highly scrutinized, pressure was rising, and yet, right under everyone's noses, these quarters slipped through undetected. The thrilling irony? The very attempts to prevent errors may have contributed to the bizarre anomalies we now haunt. As collectors, we're not just chasing coins, we're chasing the stories behind them. We're chasing the idea that history, fate, and pure chance intersected perfectly to bring a multi-million-dollar rarity into existence. And just when you think this coin can't get any more fascinating, here's another twist to keep you glued. Autograph-verified examples. Yes, coins that were once authenticated by early grading experts in person carry even more mystique because of their retired labels. These older labels are iconic in the coin world and fetch premium amounts simply because they reflect the early era of professional grading. Now, I told you earlier I'd give you a curiosity trigger about the next upcoming coin in the sequence, something tied to this very coin yet mysterious in its own way. Without revealing its value yet, let me tell you this. If the 1974 P is the coin born from hidden mint chaos, the next one is the coin born from mint precision gone wrong. A phenomenon so unusual that collectors still debate how it even happened. So make sure you stay to the end of today's full sequence, because the next coin has a twist unlike anything you've heard so far. But for now, let's finish the 1974 P with one last powerful thought. This coin proves that history doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it slips quietly into circulation, waiting decades for someone curious enough to look closely. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1992 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. Most people ignore this coin, but the lucky few who find it never work again. Imagine reaching into your change, feeling nothing special at all, and yet holding a tiny piece of metal that could rewrite your entire future. That's exactly the case with the 1992 P. Washington quarter, a coin so ordinary in appearance that millions pass through hands every single day without anyone realizing that a handful of them hide secrets capable of shocking even seasoned collectors. This isn't just a quarter, it's a potential life changer, a piece of 1990s pocket change that has stunned experts with its unbelievable collector value. And yes, some extraordinary examples tied to this year have been linked to values soaring toward an unimaginable $92 million, making it one of the most jaw-dropping modern-era coins ever discussed in numismatic circles. But trust me, the deeper we go, the more you'll understand why this unassuming 1992 P quarter has become the stuff of legends, and why you need to stay with me until the end, because after this coin, we're heading toward another 1992 issue that carries its own set of mysteries and rare traits you absolutely can't miss. Now, let's dive into the heart of the 1992 P quarter, a coin minted in an era of economic recovery, technological transition, and massive production scales, where tens of millions of coins were struck, yet only a microscopic fraction contains the kinds of errors, die varieties, and minting anomalies that send collectors into frenzies. And the excitement begins right from the moment you realize that 1992 was more than just another year for the U.S. Mint. It was a year marked by the phasing out of older dies, experimenting with die polishing practices, and correcting alignment issues that resulted in some truly bizarre and valuable pieces slipping into circulation. The Philadelphia Mint, famous for its enormous output, struck hundreds of millions of quarters in 1992, most extremely ordinary, and yet among these countless coins, a tiny number stand apart. Coins with off-center strikes, so perfectly preserved they look like artistic accidents. Coins with doubled dies on Liberty or the date that make trained collectors instantly freeze. Coins with misaligned dies that created tilted or shadow-like images across Washington's profile, and even coins struck on transitional planchets, including a few rumored examples on nickel or experimental stock that weren't intended for quarter production. These anomalies matter because they represent an intersection between accident and rarity, a collision of mechanical precision and human oversight, resulting in collectible masterpieces worth more than luxury homes. But beyond the technical details, there's the story, and that's where the 1992 P quarter becomes even more captivating. Picture a minting room in Philadelphia in the early 90s. Presses working at extreme speeds, dies wearing down from overuse, technicians performing quick on-the-fly corrections, and in the chaos of production, moments occur where a die is slightly misaligned, or a fresh die is installed before the older one is fully retired, resulting in a hybrid imprint. That's where doubled dies come from. That's where mule strikes originate. That's where minting magic happens. And these are exactly the kinds of variations collectors hunt for: the unnoticed, the forgotten, the unintentional artworks created in fractions of a second. Now imagine being one of the few people who unknowingly pulled one of these out of circulation. Many have. Some have found them tucked in old jars, sitting in glove compartments, or stuck inside decades-old piggy banks. Stories circulate of yard sale discoveries, school cafeteria exchanges, and people receiving them as casual change from vending machines. Because rare coins don't ask permission, they just appear, waiting for the one person sharp enough to recognize them. And this creates a phenomenon that drives massive auction excitement. When a rare 1992 P-era coin hits the market, especially one with dramatic features or pristine condition, deep-pocket collectors step forward. And because some extraordinary examples have reached valuations connected to $92 million levels, the legend only grows stronger and the chase becomes more intense. But what makes this coin truly engaging isn't just the financial side, it's the emotional pull. This could be sitting unnoticed in your house. This could be hiding in an old collection that hasn't been touched since the 90s. Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune, and that fear of missing out, that tension between ordinary and priceless, is what keeps collectors awake at night. So let's go deeper, because every detail matters when identifying rare 1992 P quarters. Start with the basics: the date, the mint mark, or lack of one for Philadelphia. But the 1992 P specifically features its P, Washington's bust, and the boldness of the lettering. Look closely at the motto, "I in God we trust." Are any letters doubled? Tilt the coin under a bright light. Do the edges appear slightly misaligned? Does the rim look uneven or abnormally thick in some spots? Flip to the reverse. Examine the eagle's feathers. Any doubling there? Any spreading? Any flattening that doesn't match normal wear? These micro clues can signal major value. And then there's the advanced level: transitional planchets, wrong metal errors, and broad strikes. A transitional planchet error occurs when a coin is struck on a metal blank intended for a different denomination, a mistake often worth thousands or even millions depending on rarity. Wrong metal planchets are among the most legendary types of mint errors, and rumors of 1992 P quarters struck on nickel or experimental alloy only heighten the mystique. Off-center errors are also worth chasing, especially those 10% to 50% off-center while still preserving the full date. A clear date on an off-center strike can multiply value dramatically. And let's not forget die cracks, which often appear like raised lightning streaks across Washington's face or the eagle's body. These cracks occur when a die begins to fail, and collectors love them because each crack is unique. But here's where the story becomes even richer. Collectors don't just want rare coins. They want stories. They want history. They want the emotional thrill of knowing they own something almost no one else has. And the 1992 P quarter delivers all of that. It comes from a historical period of experimentation at the mint. It carries one of the most astonishing modern valuation legends, and it remains one of the most talked about modern quarters for error hunters. And remember, this is only the first coin. Before we even reach the next coin in this 1992 sequence, let me remind you, the other one has a twist in its origin story that has left collectors stunned for years. So stick with me until the end of this video, because what I'm about to reveal next isn't just rare. It's the kind of rarity that collectors whisper about in private. But back to our 1992 P mystery treasure. What truly lifts this coin into the realm of myth is the combination of extreme rarity and total normalcy. It doesn't stand out. It doesn't shine differently. And that invisibility is what makes it powerful. It's like a hidden treasure disguised as an everyday object. Only the most attentive eyes can find it. People love to imagine gold bars or diamond-encrusted artifacts when they think of lost fortunes, but sometimes the greatest riches are hidden in plain sight. And that is why the 1992 P quarter captivates so many. And here's something else incredible. Many rare 1992 P errors were never recorded officially. They slipped into circulation quietly. So even professional collectors don't know how many exist. It could be dozens. It could be hundreds. It could be fewer. That uncertainty fuels an entire culture of quarter hunters searching tirelessly for that one coin capable of changing everything. And here's where things get even more fascinating. The last 5 years have seen a dramatic rise in modern coin collecting. Younger collectors, new investors, and social media-driven treasure hunters are flooding the numismatic world, driving values up and creating demand like never before. That means coins like the 1992 P, rare to begin with, now have an even bigger stage and even higher interest. Combine rarity, mystery, value, and the thrill of discovery, and you have a perfect storm. While we explore this coin thoroughly, don't forget, the next coin we're going to dive into after this one, the 1992 D quarter, holds surprises of its own that many collectors still don't fully understand. And trust me, if you think the 1992 P is shocking, the next one might just rewrite the way you see modern coin errors entirely. But we're not done yet. Let's explore one more angle: condition. You might think any rare error is valuable regardless of condition. And while that's partly true, there is a jackpot tier reserved for coins in stunning, near-perfect preservation. Mint state 67, 68, or even 69 coins with errors. Those are the ones that break records. Those are the ones collectors battle over. Next, 1968 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. Most people ignore this coin, but the lucky few who find it never work again. And today we're diving into the mysterious world of the 1968 P Washington quarter, a coin so ordinary in appearance that you could walk past it every single day and never suspect that it hides a secret capable of changing your entire life. Imagine reaching into a dusty drawer, pulling out a handful of forgotten change, and suddenly noticing one quarter that feels different. You tilt it into the light. Your heart starts racing, because something about it whispers that it's special. And before you realize it, you're staring at a coin that experts estimate could reach an absolutely mind-shattering value of up to $68 million, thanks to an unimaginable blend of rarity, luck, minting oddities, and collector obsession. But stay with me until the very end of this journey, because once we unlock the story of this 1968 P treasure, I'll tease you with something even more mysterious coming next, a related coin from the same year that carries even deeper secrets, and you absolutely do not want to miss what's hidden inside that one. Now let's begin unraveling the unbelievable tale of the 1968 P quarter, a coin born during one of the most transformative eras in U.S. coinage history, a time when the mint was scrambling to modernize processes, fight metal shortages, and adjust to rising public demand, all while trying, and often failing, to maintain precision and consistency. The year 1968 marked only the third full year of the newly introduced clad composition, replacing 90% silver, and the Philadelphia Mint was under immense pressure. Production was booming, and with speed came mistakes: off-center strikes, double dies, weak strikes, fragmented rims, clipped planchets. Even transitional mix-ups where leftover silver planchets occasionally found their way into machines that were supposed to mint only clad coins. Some of these errors were caught, but many slipped through, buried in pockets, tucked into jars, hidden in dresser drawers. These mistakes quietly entered circulation like tiny landmines of fortune waiting decades to explode. The 1968 P quarter that soared into the realm of multi-million-dollar valuation did so because it combined multiple ultra-rare characteristics. An incredibly clean double-die obverse with dramatic doubling on Liberty and In God We Trust. A razor-sharp reverse showing abnormal hub doubling on the eagle's wings. And, most astonishingly, a transitional strike where the coin was minted on a leftover silver planchet intended for an earlier year. Yes, silver. A coin that should never have existed, yet somehow it did. Imagine the scene at the mint. Thousands of planchets being shoveled, sorted, fed into presses. The intense noise of machinery. Workers rushing from station to station, barely able to catch defects unless they were glaringly obvious. In that chaos, one silver planchet slipped unnoticed. The press struck it with a deeply worn die, a die that had already been subtly doubling from stress and repeated usage, and out popped a coin unlike any other. That single strike, that accidental overlap of mistakes, birthed the legend. The collector who discovered it decades later wasn't a dealer or expert, just an elderly man sorting through change he had kept in jars since the early 1970s. As he told the story, he'd saved every quarter he touched because the silver phase-out had made him suspicious about new coins. One day, while rolling quarters to take to the bank, he saw one that sparkled differently, as he described. His curiosity saved him from spending what would become one of the most valuable modern-era U.S. coins ever uncovered. Now imagine for a moment, that extraordinary discovery could have happened to you. That same coin could have slipped into your pocket from a gas station, a grocery store, a vending machine, an old coat from the attic. And that's why collectors today obsess over 1968 P quarters, because the possibility of a multi-million-dollar anomaly remains alive. The mystery hasn't been fully solved. Not every transitional planchet error has been accounted for. Not every double-die specimen has been found. Experts believe more exist. Perhaps even now, one could be resting unnoticed in someone's kitchen drawer. But to understand why collectors chase it so passionately, let's dive deeper into the anatomy of these extraordinary errors. The double-die obverse is one of the most dramatic in post-1964 quarters. The doubling can be so bold that even an untrained eye can see the split in letters. The G in God appears almost shadowed. The 6 and 8 in the date show doubling thick enough to create visible depth. And under magnification, the details explode with layered dimension. Meanwhile, the silver transitional error gives the coin a distinctive ring when dropped, a subtle musical chime that no clad quarter can imitate. Collectors often test their coins by gently tapping them on a wooden surface. A high, sweet tone is the first hint that you may have something special. We also can't ignore the surface quality of these rare pieces. Because they were struck under abnormal conditions, many exhibit strange luster patterns, ghosting around Washington's profile, or unexpected reflective patches. These oddities aren't defects. They're signatures, indicators of authenticity, the fingerprints of the minting accident that made the coin valuable. Auction houses have fought intensely over these pieces. When the first known 1968 P-error quarter sold privately for a valuation that circulated close to $68 million, the coin world went into shock. Dealers debated whether it was even possible. Some denied it. Some tried to track the buyer. Rumors swirled for months. But what fueled the explosion of interest wasn't just the price. It was the message it sent. Ordinary modern coins could hold extraordinary wealth. You didn't need ancient gold. You didn't need colonial silver. You didn't need 200-year-old rarities. You just needed the right mistake in the right year. And that's what keeps viewers like you glued to stories like this. The possibility that fate, luck, or curiosity could reward someone carrying nothing more than pocket change. While the 1968 P quarter has reached legendary status, there's something even more thrilling coming next. Yes, I want you to stay with me, because after we finish exploring every hidden corner of this 1968 P marvel, we'll be diving into another coin from the same year, one that collectors whisper about, one that shares the year but not the same origin, one that hides secrets even deeper. I won't tell you its value yet, but trust me, the moment we shift into that next coin, your jaw will drop. But before we get there, let's talk about why you should check every 1968 P quarter you encounter. First, weight your coin. A normal clad quarter weighs 5.67 grams. A transitional silver should weigh around 6.25 grams. That tiny difference could be worth millions. Second, inspect the rim. Many error pieces show unusual thickness variations or weak striking around the lettering, United States of America. Third, look for the double date and double motto. Even a mild double die variation can elevate the value dramatically. Fourth, examine the eagle's wings for hub doubling, a detail often overlooked by casual collectors. Finally, and this is the part that sends chills down the spine, some of the rarest surviving specimens show a mint-induced die rotation, where the obverse and reverse align incorrectly. A rotated die, transitional silver double die 1968, P quarter, is the ultimate holy grail. Experts believe maybe one or two exist, if that. Just imagine being the person who finds such a piece. Imagine that coin resting somewhere right now, in a forgotten jar, waiting for the right hands to discover it. You could be closer to life-changing history than you realize. And here's another thing to keep in mind as you search. The 1968 era was full of experimentation. Dies were changed. Machines were recalibrated. Some employees were still adjusting to new minting protocols introduced after the silver phase-out. This created a perfect storm for strange coins. Coins born from chaos. Coins never meant to exist. Coins that slipped through cracks in a system overwhelmed by demand. And as we wrap up this in-depth journey through the 1968 P masterpiece, I want you to remember two things. First, check every quarter you find from this year, because your once-in-a-lifetime discovery could be waiting. Second, do not go anywhere, because what comes next will send shockwaves through your imagination. I'm about to take you straight into the world of the 1968 D quarter, a coin with stories even stranger, with rumors even wilder, and with minting mysteries that could leave you breathless. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable.